of months ago, I was in my local town centre, walking down the high street, and I went into one of those second-hand DVD stroke computer game shops. You know the ones I'm talking about. This one I think was CEX. And if you're British, you know these like the back of your hand. And I went in there and I was looking at the really cheap DVDs, you know, the ones for 50p in a pound. And I saw these two DVDs, Bo Selecta, the complete first series and the complete second series. And I thought, wow, that's a blast from the past. Bo Selecta was first out 2003, I think it was. You know, over 20 years ago. And I never watched it, but I remember my friends thinking it was really funny. And I kind of know the humour behind it, you know, I've seen clips, etc. So I thought, the DVDs are only £1 each, I might as well buy them, watch them, see if they're any good. And also, I know for a fact that you wouldn't find these on any streaming platform because they're rather controversial by today's standards. And I'll explain why as we go through. So I thought, this is, if nothing else, even if it's rubbish, it's a kind of cultural investigation about how tastes have changed in comedy over the last 20-25 years. So I watched season 1, and season 1 has got this guy called Avid Marion in. And by the way, the characters are all played by Lee Francis, who the mastermind behind the whole thing. Later on he became known as Keith Lemon, do you remember him? And Celebrity Juice. So anyway, first series, it's got this weirdo called Avid Marion who goes around stalking celebrities, and he has this kind of weird Eastern European accent, and it's very scatological, the humour, it's very sexualised as well. But as well as him, there's this whole cast of exaggerated caricatures of celebrities where Lee Francis dons latex masks and he goes around the streets with these little skits, and some of them include well, famously Craig David, he's probably his most famous creation. You have Scary Spice from the Spice Girls, David Blaine, a magician, Michael Jackson, who appears a lot in these shows, Britney Spears, you know, all these people. You also have this bear character who kind of does these really rude interviews with celebrities. So, is it funny? Well, in places it is. It's very funny in places, actually. I think Lee Francis is definitely talented. I mean, Avid Marion, the main guy, I can take or leave. To be honest, I don't find him particularly funny. But the celebrity versions with the latex masks, they can be very funny. Craig David, for instance, for no reason at all, he speaks in a Yorkshire accent, and he's got a kestrel on his shoulder, you know, like Kes from the film. Apparently Craig David was not happy about this, but he did appear on one of the sketches, so he must have been alright with it at some point. And you've got David Blaine, who's like this really pervy magician. He's actually very funny. And it's really kind of lowbrow humour, but some of it is funny. Some of it isn't. And some of it's very dated and very much of its time. It was kind of around the time when reality TV became popular as well. So a lot of the celebrity stuff is around these kind of very kind of Z-list celebrities who no one knows anymore. But do you know what? It's got its funny moments, this. It's actually worth watching. As is season 2. And season 2 introduces Trisha Goddard as well, the UK chat show host. So these two are well worth a watch, I think, you know. Then we get to season 3. At this point, Lee Francis becomes a victim of his own success, because clearly the first 2 series have done well, he's made a name for himself, but season 3 is just woeful. It is just not funny at all. It's like he's almost making it up on the spot. with no rhyme or reason. He kind of has his own chat show, but the whole format doesn't work, and it's just lazy. It's just not funny. It's really not funny. It's very tedious, actually. And you think, after season 3, does he redeem himself? Well, he tries something different for season 4. It's a kind of a sitcom all about the bear who does all the interviews in the other series. And he's kind of in his house with his adopted family. And this also introduces the Keith Lemon character, which Lee Francis will adopt pretty soon for all of his career. Is it any good? No, this is dreadful. This is really unfunny. It's absolutely awful. The bear is actually one of the funniest characters in the first 2 series, but by this point, it's so rude. It just isn't funny. It's just like it's just like a kid in a playground who's just discovered some naughty words. It's just going around saying them all the time, and it just isn't witty, it's not clever, and it's just tedious, actually. Then in season 5, I think by this time, what are we in, 2005, 2006? It's called Bo in the USA, and he goes over to the States, and Avid Marion now runs a hotel with his wife, who's also his sister. And yeah, it's awful. It's actually probably even worse than A Bear's Tale, if that was possible. Now, there is a kind of bit of a better turn of events after this, because Lee Francis does a spoof of Michael Jackson through the years. And I think this is called Chameau. And I watched this as well. And it's actually very funny. And it's rather affectionate as well. You could tell that Lee Francis really looked up and admired Michael Jackson. And yeah, that's actually pretty good. That kind of ends on a high. But certainly a lot of Bo Selecta is absolute rubbish. So it starts off well, goes really bad, a tiny glimmer of hope at the end of the Michael Jackson special. Now, Lee Francis, of course, went on to do Celebrity Juice, which is like a kind of a game show, similar kind of ultra rude, sweary kind of comedy. But then the kind of zeitgeist shifted, and I think he was definitely a casualty of COVID, a casualty of lockdown, because after that, people's sensitivities to certain issues in comedy, including, I suppose, things like the Me Too movement and Black Lives Matter and all these things, he certainly come off the worst for all these kind of trends in society. And recently he apologised for many of his sketches because of the use of blackface, etc. And I think he's trying to resurrect his career now. He's going to do a tour. It'd be interesting to see what he does for this, because of course many of his biggest characters he'd have to leave out now, presumably. So I guess this will be a test of his ability as a comedian to reinvent himself as a TV personality, because I think he's definitely a funny guy ultimately, but he's responsible for a lot of crap as well, to put it mildly. Anyway, have you watched Bo Selecta? What do you think of it? Do you agree that he's a casualty of changing times, changing attitudes? Please put them in the comments below. And all the best. Bye.